Hail to all metal maniacs, glad you could join us on another video here on the Iron Horde channel. In the last couple of midweek videos I took it upon myself to bring you some lesser known yet still very valid musicians. Both the vocalists and guitarists have been covered and I hope you have seen those videos. If not, go to the video sections and do it as soon as possible. But obviously not before watching today's video, which will give a deeper look towards the role of the drummer and the 5 hard hitters who, the way I see it, haven't received their due credit for different reasons. So enough with the introduction, let's go straight to the list. Let's go! Hi there again, if you're new here, the aim of this channel is to review albums and festivals, suggest bands, delve into the cultural aspect of heavy metal in general and more. So if you're interested in this content, please consider supporting this channel by subscribing, liking, clicking the bell, sharing our videos on social media as well. Let's head straight back to the drummers discourse, and before going ahead with the list of the 5 names, I have to make a premise here. I'm no drummer myself, my knowledge of drumming is very limited, and therefore over here I will not be going into the technicalities of drumming, but rather as per previous musicians related videos I will be focusing on the ability of the musician to bring an added bonus to that particular track and album. Something which a common heavy metal trained ear can notice basically. Also, I'm still focusing on the 80s decade for these type of videos in order to shorten the pool of possible candidates, as it is already a headache to choose 5 for a particular decade, let alone overall. Maybe in the future I'll make some kind of overall winners from these lists, just an idea that came to mind basically. So as usual, no order of preference but just random positioning, just as they came to my mind and I wrote them down basically. Anyways, here it goes. The first name I have for you is possibly the most obscure one in the list. I'm referring to David Brown, known mainly for his period with the band Taramis. Dave Brown comes from Australia, and for me he's one of the best ones to ever come from that continent. Australia has given us some great drummers throughout the years, one of the most famous ones being Virgil Donati, but unfortunately the name of Dave Brown remains unknown to the vast majority, and it is really a shame. Dave Brown had a distinct technique which gave a band like Taramis a very proggish touch, even though they were a power metal band. Apparently he had a jazz background, so this obviously fueled his style, and every time I listen to their records I cannot but stand amazed at the progression of those drums from one track to the other. I included Taramis in the Australian Heavy Metal Essential Albums video, so go check that out for a more in-depth review of that record. Unfortunately, Dave Brown passed away in 2009 at the age of 43. As they say, only the good die young.
Music
Next in line I bring you Didier Bouchard from the band ADX. ADX is a French band which plays speed metal, and with such a style you need a drummer that can kick it up a notch or two and bring that force and aggression needed to enhance the whole package. And Didier Bouchard, aka Dog, is as aggressive and savage as needs be. Every time I listen to the albums, especially the 80s records, it feels like I can actually feel his passion towards the music he is playing. And even from live videos, and even most recent ones as well, because the band is still alive and kicking, he is still there beating the shit out of those skins. I really appreciate that. He might not be an overly technical or the most gifted, but he doesn't need to be for this style of metal. All that is needed is that fiery attitude to keep creating some good old fast and aggressive metal. Just for example, one of the most famous example is Abaddon from Venom, which basically is not known for his technical abilities, but he hit those drums like it was the end of the world basically. Also check out the French heavy metal essential albums for more info on one of their records I have added in that list. Third name on this list, and I bring you Randy Fox from Manila Road. Another hard-hitting drummer. Randy joined Manila Road from their fourth studio album and released 5 albums in total. He was known as the Thrasher and brought a more aggressive touch to the epic music, being churned out by the great and deeply missed Mark Shelton. Speaking about Manila Road drummers, I have to hand it out also to Rick Fisher, who was the drummer on their first 3 records. He was a perfect fit for the sound the band had at that stage. And even on Crystal Logic, which remains quite possibly the Manila Road record for many fans, but Randy had a style which made him more visible, more noticeable to the listener. He made his presence felt, and his approach brought a heavier and faster edge on the band's music. Next we have Joe Hasselvender from Death Row, Pentagram, Raven, and an endless list of other bands. Hasselvender is typically associated with doom metal, having started his career with doom metal bands, but don't be fooled because he can also play really fast and can be seen with the band Raven, who generally play at a very fast tempo. At certain parts they are actually a speed metal band. And his ability to adapt to these different styles, spanning a career of over 40 years with different bands, with some of these taking also the role of guitarist and or vocalist, I mean, it shows you what a great all-round musician Joe Hasselvender is, and one cannot underestimate his contributions to the metal world. Considering all of this, he is still quite unknown. Not many people mention him, and it personally bugs me that these musicians don't get the recognition they deserve. But I guess I made this point quite clear throughout most of my videos in these first 6 months, so I'll stop here, or rather I become much more passionate in my presentation. But anyways. fifth name on this list is one of the best drummers ever, as far as I'm concerned. Even if I did the 5 greatest drummers ever, I would have struggled a lot not to include Mark Zonder, known mainly for being one of the founders of the band Warlord and participating in 6 studio albums by another legendary band, that is Fate's Warning. How can you describe the ability of such a drummer in a few words? I don't even think it is possible. It's like describing a beautiful painting or a sculpture. I mean, how can you do it justice with just words? The only justice you can make to this kind of artistic masterpieces is to make them known as much as possible. And Zonder's style of playing is, for me, a masterpiece. You can just search for a video of his playing, and it is so pleasing to see him hit those skins with such precision and groove. Whichever band he played with was always an added bonus to the music. Without him, the end result wouldn't have been the same, and that is actually a big thing to say about a drummer. So now that my job is done, it is up to you to get more accustomed with these musicians, know their careers, listen to the bands they played or still playing, and if you find them interesting, share this knowledge with your friends. If you like this content, please consider subscribing, clicking the bell, like and sharing this video. Check out the rest of our videos as well. The library is building up quite nicely, I have to say, and these are only, as I said, the first 6 months or so from the first video I ever posted. Check out the affiliate links in the description. If you buy through those links, we get a small commission to no extra expense for you, and that little commission will help us out to expand this channel. And as usual, all I have to say is stay safe and metal on. Cheers!